Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something super interesting today. It all started with this Reddit confession that, well, kind of blew up. This woman shared all these, really unexpected things that men do that, she finds attractive. And it sparked this huge conversation about what really makes us attracted to someone. So to help break it all down, we've got an expert in, you guessed it, attraction and social dynamics with us.
What's really cool about this confession is how it shines a light on those things we don't usually, consciously think about, like these small everyday things, stuff we might even consider boring, but they can actually be saying a lot to our subconscious.
Okay, so let's paint a picture for our listeners. This woman on Reddit, she's basically saying the bar's on the floor, right? When it comes to what she finds attractive, she even gives some pretty specific examples, which is what makes it so funny.
And yeah, it's that specificity that makes it so relatable. It's not just that she's attracted to certain things, it's how she describes them, the language she uses. It creates this sense of humor and you just like get her.
Totally. It's like she's letting us in on a little secret, which makes it even more interesting. Like one example she gives is big hands. Big hands are a total turn on for her. And, helping her reach something on a high shelf, instant attraction.
Right. And when you think about it, what are those actions really saying? Big hands, maybe they represent strength, capability. Being helpful shows you're considerate, attentive to her needs. Even if we don't consciously connect those dots, our subconscious is picking up on them.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about the action, it's what it reveals about the person. She even mentions stuff like wearing a hoodie and cargo pants, or even just driving with one hand on the wheel.
Now, those are really interesting because they tap into style and body language, a certain style of clothing. It can project an image, a vibe that someone just finds attractive,
hmm
and how someone carries themselves, even something as simple as how they hold a steering wheel. It can show confidence or, just a sense of ease.
Whoa, it's like this whole secret language of attraction. All these little cues we're sending and receiving without even realizing it. Now, this Reddit thread, it just exploded with comments. And what really struck me was like how different everyone's reactions were. Some people were totally on board. Others were like, wait, what?
And that right there, that's what makes this whole thing so insightful. It shows us how subjective attraction is. There's no magic formula, no one-size-fits-all answer. What one person finds super attractive, someone else might not even notice.
Which makes you think, right? Like, what is it about our own experiences, our personalities, that shapes what we find attractive? What makes us click with some people but not others?
That's the big question, isn't it? And this Reddit thread, as funny as it is, it actually opens the door to some really fascinating psychology.
For example, there were tons of comments about the halo effect. Can you explain what that is and how it relates to, like, being attracted to someone?
Sure, sure. The halo effect is this cognitive bias, right? It means our overall impression of someone gets influenced by just one trait, usually a positive one. So if someone's physically attractive, we might also assume they're smart, kind, trustworthy, all that.
So in this case, if a woman thinks a man's big hands are hot, she might subconsciously think he's also got other good qualities. It's like those initial sparks of attraction that kind of color how she sees everything else about him.
Exactly. And the opposite can be true too. If someone has a negative trait, we might assume other negative stuff, even if there's like no proof of it.
That's crazy. So, like, our brains are constantly making these split-second judgments based on, just a little bit of information.
And that's why first impressions are so powerful. Those first few cues, whether it's looks, body language, even just a smile, they can have a huge impact on how we see someone.
This reminds me of another comment that blew up. Someone joked, "Ripey your inbox," implying that this woman's going to get flooded with messages from guys showing off their big hands and, trying to be super helpful.
Yeah, that's a good one. It shows how we kind of acknowledge these simple things. Even if we don't always say it out loud, we know they can really affect attraction.
Right. But it also highlights that we're all trying to, like, present ourselves in a certain way, a way that'll attract the right kind of people.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us back to like knowing ourselves. One of those things, maybe kind of silly things that spark our interest. What do they say about what we want, what we value?
This is getting deep. I love it. And I bet our listeners are thinking about their own trivial turn-ons right now.
I hope so. It's a chance to really explore this whole world of attraction and to see how these subtle, often subconscious things shape what we want in someone. It's amazing how something so small can just like totally grab your attention. It's like a reminder that attraction, it's not always a straightforward thing. There's a lot happening beneath the surface.
Totally. Another comment that really stood out to me talked about uh, how this idea of feeling secure can be a turn-on. They're like, man has a stable job, horny. Man has a nice car, horny. Uses his manners and holds the door. OMG, I'm a waterfall.
Okay, that one was pretty funny, I gotta admit. But underneath the humor, it brings up something kind of deep. This idea that we're drawn to people who show us they're stable, dependable.
It's like our inner caveman is still looking for a partner who can, provide and protect.
Exactly. Evolutionary psychology tells us that these preferences, they're kind of hardwired into us. Way back when, choosing a partner who could bring home the bacon, literally, or keep you safe, it was super important for survival. And even though we don't face those same dangers today, those instincts, they can still be influencing our choices.
So even though we're not out there fighting off saber-toothed tigers anymore, we still have that deep down desire for security, for knowing someone's got our back. It makes me think about that point from the confession about driving with one hand on the wheel.
Ah, yeah, that one classic move, right? Showing off that confidence, that I got this attitude. Seems like it really resonated with people.
And it goes back to what we were saying about body language. It's not just about the action, it's about the message behind it. Like in this case, maybe it's showing comfort or control or even a little bit of that like rebellious spirit.
Right on. And those subtle cues, they can be so attractive because they tap into those subconscious desires. We're attracted to people who seem confident, self-assured, and body language is a powerful way to communicate that.
This is making me think of another point from the Reddit thread. The idea that maybe this woman, she's just like really tuned into these things because she's got a high libido. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty common misconception, actually. While your libido, your sex drive, it definitely plays a role. It's not the whole story. To say it's just about a high libido, that oversimplifies things. Human desire is way more complicated than that.
So it's not just about being in the mood. It's about this whole mix of things that come together, right?
Absolutely. Attraction is affected by so many different factors. Your experiences, your culture, your hormones, even your mood at that moment. It's this back and forth between what's going on inside us and what's happening around us. And that's what creates those feelings of attraction.
There was even one commenter who mentioned how just catching a whiff of their coworker's cologne made them like totally flustered. So even smell can be a powerful trigger.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Our sense of smell, it's crazy strong, and it's directly connected to the emotional part of our brain. Certain scents can bring back memories, create a sense of familiarity, or even trigger a physical response.
That explains why some perfumes or colognes are just like irresistible. It's not just the smell itself, it's all those feelings and associations that come with it.
Exactly. It's like a secret language where scents are sending these hidden messages, communicating something primal, something that really speaks to us. It's incredible how these small details, things we might not even think about, can have such a huge impact on how we see other people.
This has been so eye-opening. It's like we're peeling back the layers of attraction and seeing all this intricate stuff going on beneath the surface. But one thing that keeps coming up is this idea that attraction is super subjective. What's a turn-on for one person could be totally meaningless for someone else.
That's a really important point. There's no universal rule book for attraction. What matters is finding what speaks to you and recognizing those unique sparks that make someone stand out.
So instead of trying to fit into some mold of what's considered attractive, it's more about embracing our own individual preferences and celebrating those quirky things that make us tick.
Exactly. Those little things that make your heart skip a beat, those are the things that make you, you. And knowing and honoring those preferences, that's the key to finding a genuine connection.
This reminds me of another comment that really resonated. Someone said something like, "This is so me with my boyfriend. He could literally be doing anything, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm into it."
That's a great example of how powerful existing attraction can be. When we're already emotionally invested in someone, it's like we put on these rose-colored glasses, and even the most ordinary things can seem charming and attractive.
Like love turns up the volume on those attractive qualities. We become more sensitive to them. It's not that they weren't there before, but our feelings, they kind of enhance our perception.
You got it. Love has this way of shifting our focus, highlighting the good and downplaying the not so good. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's part of what makes relationships so special.
It's like we're choosing to see the best in someone and letting that appreciation shape our experience. But even outside of romantic relationships, it's interesting to think about how our existing feelings towards someone, like a friend, family member, even a coworker, can change how we see their actions.
That's true. Our biases, our preconceived ideas, they can definitely influence things. They shape how we interpret those little everyday things. And that's why it's so important to be aware of those biases and to try to see things from a more objective viewpoint.
This deep dive has been a real journey. We've explored all these hidden aspects of attraction, from body language to scent, to the role of evolution and personal preference. It's amazing to realize how much is happening behind the scenes, shaping our desires and affecting our connections.
And we've only scratched the surface. There's still so much to discover about this whole world of attraction. But for now, I hope this conversation has sparked some curiosity and encouraged you to pay attention to those little things that might actually be revealing a lot about what makes us tick.
Absolutely. We've covered so much ground today, from the science of attraction to those personal stories that bring it all to life. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked about what other people find attractive, but now I want to turn the tables a bit. What about you? What are your unexpected turn-ons? Those little things that, maybe you wouldn't even admit out loud, but they make you go, whoa, okay, I'm definitely interested.
This is where it gets really fun. It's like an invitation to get to know yourself on a deeper level. What are those seemingly insignificant things that just spark something in you? Maybe it's the way someone rolls up their sleeves, or the sound of their laugh, or even how they say a certain word.
Yeah, or like something totally random, the way they hold their coffee mug, or how they organize their desk. Things you wouldn't normally think would matter, but for some reason they do.
And the cool thing is, there's no right or wrong answer. Your unique turn-ons, they're a reflection of you. Your personality, your experiences, what you value, they give us a glimpse into what you truly find appealing in another person.
It's like a secret code to your heart. And once you crack that code, you can really understand yourself better and what you're looking for in a connection.
Exactly. It's about embracing those quirky little preferences and realizing they're not silly or superficial. They're part of what makes you you and what draws you to certain people.
It's like that saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, maybe turn-ons are the window to our, subconscious desires.
Ooh, I like that. It's like those unexpected moments of attraction. They're telling us something about what we deeply crave, what makes us feel safe and secure, and what really lights our fire?
So as you go about your day, I want you to pay attention to those times when you feel that little spark of attraction. What caused it? Was it something physical, a gesture, a personality trait, or something else entirely?
And don't be afraid to explore those feelings. Write about them, talk to a friend, or just sit with them for a while. Think about what they might be telling you about what you truly desire.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've really gone deep into this whole hidden world of attraction and uncovered all these fascinating ways our subconscious minds shape what we want.
We've learned that attraction is complex. It's a mix of so many things, from our evolutionary instincts to our personal preferences. And even though there's no one-size-fits-all answer to what makes someone attractive, understanding our own unique turn-ons, that's a huge step towards building stronger, more meaningful connections.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this episode of Voices of the Soul. Thanks for joining us on this amazing journey into the world of attraction. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the Voices of the Soul podcast for more insightful conversations on all things human experience.
And for even more thought-provoking content, check out the Shauna Polar's YouTube channel. Until next time, keep exploring those unexpected sparks of attraction and embrace the journey of getting to know yourself better. To AI.